Alright, sports fans, welcome again to another edition of the Pioneer Sports Preview. Once again, my name is Greg Buckner and I'm joined by Dane Pavlovsky. Looking back at the week of prep football, starting off with week 1 last week. A lot of blowout games last week, and now got some teams coming in this week looking to kind of get back on track after some rough outings last Thursday. So first off, let's start off with actually one of the good teams, the teams that actually had a good day. Chippewa Hills had a nice big 37-0 victory over North Branch, taking on Grant this weekend in their first CSA contest of the year. Hunter Conley last week at quarterback for the Warriors had 5 passing touchdowns, 1 on the ground. So looking at the Warriors, just what can they do, especially if they can keep that offense going at that click they had in the first game they had against North Branch?
Oh, they could be dangerous. And like you said, it all starts with Hunter Conley. Whether he's throwing the ball to those athletes, talking to Coach Jost before the season, they have 9 kids who are going to catch the ball. A lot of those kids were making plays. Quentin Gossett, if he can get involved, that offense can get rolling. They can make some noise again, and I think they win big this week.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with you. My pick for that game, I'm going to take the Warriors as well. Moving on here to Big Rapids. Last week, took on a tough Cadillac team, obviously a team that faced Chippewa Hills in the first round of the playoffs last season. They had into them a tough loss, and now they handed Big Rapids a 58-13 loss in their home opener. First year under Coach Woodruff, obviously a young team, but they made some some young team mistakes, just missing pulls on blocks and a lot of things like that. So for Big Rapids, what do they need to do to get back on track is they travel to Newaygo this Friday to take on a really tough Newaygo team.
That's it. The Lions are tough, and they're going to be a tough match. And and this might not be one of those games that you put on the chalkboard and say, okay, we got to win this week. This is the kind of game where, with a new coach, with a new staff, and kind of a new program at Big Rapids, you got to say, okay, guys, we want these goals. It might not be to score more or win the game necessarily, but it's got to be, we got to execute. Those plays we couldn't do last week, we got to clean that up. And you got to take those little adjustments, those little improvements, and eventually, hopefully, obviously, the Cardinals want to build up to some wins. But if they can come out, clean things up, execute well, and have a good game against Newaygo, like you said, one of the best teams in the CSAA, that could be a little victory, a moral victory for Woodruff and the Cardinals.
Definitely, like you said, there were some moments last week where they had their plays, but just a lot of sloppy play. And I think if they can kind of correct at least some of those things, it's a tough test against Newaygo. I don't think they're going to win, but I do think hopefully they'll be in for a better showing than they had last week. So moving on here, we'll make a few quick picks of the other prep games we have on the schedule. So looking at another game this Friday, have Pine River traveling to Benzie Central. Pine River had a nice win last week. A lot of offensive playmakers. What do they got to do to keep things going against the Huskies? And what's your pick for the game?
I got Pine River in this one, and I think that offense will keep rolling. It's the second year of that new option offense kind of that Terry Martin brought in, so I think they keep rolling there and have another good game and win.
Definitely. I'm going to have to go with the Bucks on this one as well. Moving on, we have Reed City taking on Tri-County on the road. Reed City had a kind of a hyped up non-conference game against Baldwin last week, but kind of anticlimactic at the end, 60-27. Do you see the Coyotes keeping that train rolling against Tri-County this week?
I think so. Some of their big pieces are gone. Chad Samuels, Eric Granis, they're not there, but Colin Hatfield, Andre Jones, and John Green are still there. They still got it. That backfield, that 3-headed backfield. They had a huge game against Baldwin. I think they'll do it again against Tri-County.
I'm definitely taking the Coyotes in that one as well. Moving on, we have Everett going over to Harrison. A lot of road games this week. Everett had a nice win last week. Lost some pieces from last year's team. Who you got in that game?
I got Everett. They're young. They only have 17 kids, but those kids want to play, and they play hard, and they showed in week 1. They'll get another one here.
Have to go with you on that one as well. Like you said, nice little confidence booster there early season. I think that'll get things going for the young playmakers there. Then we have Farwell going on to take on Baldwin after Baldwin took on Reed City last week. Thoughts on that one?
Matt, kind of talked to Coach Doug Bowles after the game at Reed City, and he was in good spirits for losing 60-27 because he said, hey, we're going to go 8-0 now. Because Reed City, obviously the hardest team they'll face on their schedule, and I think he was right. Baldwin, great athletes. They got 3 Childresses on the team. They got all kinds of kids running around. Damon Nichols making plays. I think they'll win, and I don't think they'll lose again until the end of the season.
Moving on, Morley Stanwood. Morley had a tough game last week against Central Montcalm, taking a loss there in a CSAA opener. Going on non-conference here at Kinsley. Tough game against the Stags. Obviously, they've been in the playoffs a lot lately. What are the Mohawks? What are your thoughts on their game?
The Mohawks, they have some athletes, they have some playmakers. Like you said, they fell short in week 1. They haven't lost Central Montcalm in a while. They have the playmakers to win football games, but Kingsley, like you said, they're a powerhouse. I think the Stags get the win here this weekend.
I'm going to have to agree with that one. I think just the Stags will be too much. Hopefully, the Mohawks will have a better showing, but I do think the Stags will just have a little bit too much on their side. And now moving on, we have Crossroads. Had their first week of 8-man football last week too. The defending state champs in 8-man and Peck. 48-0. But just going up to Cedarville. Thoughts on that one? Your pick?
Crossroads first year of 8-man. Cedarville, they're from the Eastern Upper Peninsula, back by my home in Rudyard. They've been doing 8-man since I graduated high school. They've been around since kind of the beginning of things. They're used to the 8-man way of life, the 8-man game. I think that'll show up in Gaylord this weekend.
Yep.
I think Cedarville will get the win. The Trojans will go home with a win.
I have to agree with you on that one. Crossroads, they're going to take their lumps this year, but just as long as you can start getting the intricacies of the 8-man football, I think eventually brighter things on the horizon. But like you said, Cedarville's been at it for a long time. I think that's obviously going to benefit them at the end. Alrighty, folks. Well, thank you again for joining us for the Pioneer Sports Preview. Remember, you can always log on to www.bigrapidsnews.com, and you can pick up an edition of the Pioneer every day in print.